you ready to take your leadership journey to the next level? On the leadership platform TLP, we don't just talk about leadership, we live it. This year, we are bringing you cutting-edge insights, transformative tools, and real-world strategies to help you lead with confidence, purpose, and impact. This year, we have 4 seasons with 50 episodes. We will dive into themes such as leading self, leading others, and leading institutions. We bring you Leaders Are Readers. This monthly session focuses on book reviews, discussions, encouraging all participants to read along with selected books on personal leadership and professional leadership. We also have a time with the CEO. In this segment, we dive into the stories of prominent CEOs who share their insights, lessons learned throughout their leadership journey. We also bring you extraordinary leadership stories, highlighting individuals in our societies who are doing extraordinary things. This segment inspires viewers with real-life examples of leadership in action. We will bring you some brilliant minds, courageous leaders changing the narrative of Africa. We also bring you finally the expert-led sessions, which cover a wide range of leadership and personal development topics, providing practical guidance and actionable strategies for personal and professional development. The leadership platform is your go-to space for personal growth, professional breakthroughs, and meaningful connections. I am Joy Bunsu-Schmutz, co-host on TLP, and I will see you every Saturday, 7 p.m. GMT, live on YouTube and Facebook.
Hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Leadership Platform. My name is Samuel Ayim of CTL Africa Leadership, and I'm excited to welcome all of you to the Leadership Platform tonight. As you will know, Saturday nights are my favorite part of the week because for more than 5 years, we have been running this webinar and we have engaged many powerful leaders, insightful lessons, and it is the best part because we get the opportunity to interact with you, growth-minded individuals and leaders who are set to take their leadership to the next level. We thank you for being a part of this platform, and today we are going to have an interesting discussion on our sub-theme, the extraordinary leadership stories. So I want to encourage you to connect with us, share the link, subscribe to our channels, and invite your friends into the room. I know that many of you join the platform and you don't necessarily introduce yourself or want to make comments. That's fine, but we are always privileged to be able to introduce you to the whole wide world. Actually, just this week, I went into a filling station, a washing bay, a certain washing bay for the first time that day. And as I was sitting waiting for my car to be washed, a gentleman walked to me and said, good afternoon, sir. And I responded, and he says, you don't know me, but I know you. I said, okay, how do you know me? He says on the leadership platform that he works for Blue Skies, and every Saturday he joins the leadership platform. I said, oh, wow, thank you very much. And those kinds of interaction, I've had it over and over again. I go out and I meet people who are learning on the leadership platform who don't necessarily show up. We don't see their names, but they are there. So please, if you're connected, do us the honor, share your name and where you are connecting from, and we will be happy to introduce you to the world. Good. This evening, I think so far nobody has showed up, and I'm sure the people will show up. But this evening, I want to, on this platform, we want to have a very, very interesting discussion on innovation. And we want to encourage, especially those of you in the tech environment, in financial sector, insurance sector, to come around and listen to Alfred, whether you are listening right now live or you're going to listen later on in the week. We know that some of you go to funerals and sometimes you come and watch later on. You're going to learn a lot from our speaker this evening. At this point, I'm going to bring on stage, I'm going to bring our speaker because we're going to talk to him. I'm not going to do any elaborate introduction, but our speaker is a trailblazer. He's innovative. He's creating solutions for insurance and many, many other areas, forward-looking leader who we can learn from. And he's my good friend, and I'm going to bring him. Sometimes I find it difficult pronouncing his surname, but as for Alfred, I can pronounce Alfred. And the other name is Ludwig. Is that correct?
That's correct. So that's correct.
Is it a fancy name or something?
No, it's a German name.
Hey, German. Where is Joy? We need Joy. Joy Bones Smooch. So how did you get a German name? Sarah, you are welcome. I bring Sarah also
Thank
on board
you.
because I cannot discuss this German name alone. German name.
I think it's related to Beethoven, Ludwig Beethoven, right?
Right, the pianist. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Classical music. Yes.
Okay. And what does that mean? And how did you get a German name?
Okay. So I was named after my grandfather, my paternal grandfather.
Okay.
I'm from Ekropong here. So I think the story is that he was adopted by one of those Basel missionaries.
Okay.
Yes, when he was born. So his father named him after one of them. So that's where the name Ludwig is coming from. So I have a number of cousins who were also named after our grandfather, who are also Alfred Ludwig Kissiedu. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So that's how the name.
Yeah, go ahead.
And surprisingly, all of us who were named after him were also born on a Friday. So we're also
so you are Kofi.
yes,
Kofi Baboni. The only Kofi who is not Baboni is me.
We'll have to find out when Beethoven was born on a Friday.
Yeah, we'll have to find it out.
Maybe he was. All right. So great. Alfred, thank you so much for joining us on the platform. I see Rita is here. And Rita, where are you joining from? I think, okay. So she says hello, but she's not said where she's joining from. If you join us, we'll introduce you to the world. Just introduce yourself. We know you are behind the screens, but the time will come for questions. So, Alfred, this segment of the leadership platform, as we've told you, is focused on bringing leaders who are doing some very creative, sometimes crazy things, and we need crazy people to change the world. And so we want to engage with you and your team, your company that you have created, and the products that you are creating, the solutions that you are creating. So that's the purpose of this discussion. It's going to be an open discussion, interactive. We'll take it where it takes us as much as we are learning. So feel free to take the discussion the way you want. Okay? Sarah, what do you say?
That's true, but it will be great for our viewers. This is the first time that Alfred is joining us. So Alfred, could you tell us who you are? Who is Alfred Ludwig Kissiedu? Who is Alfred?
Right.
Very well. Thank you very much, and thank you, Sarah and Sam, for inviting me to this platform. I've been on your platform listening to other people speak, and I always like what I hear. It's inspirational and it's very encouraging. So I'm privileged that today I'm also seated here and speaking for others to also hear. And I want to say a big thank you to you. So Alfred Ludwig Kissiedu is Ghanaian, an ordinary Ghanaian. I was born in Accra, here in Ghana, um, specifically DC, Dansuman. Yes, that's when I
Oh, when you said DC, I was like, okay,
that's
because the whole world is in Accra here. We have Russia, we have Holland, we
yeah.
have everywhere, China.
Exactly. That's where I grew up, and I went to the Ministry of Health, Primary and GSS at Kolebu. Um, it was a public school designed for the nurses and doctors around the Kolebu area. Then from there, went to Laboni. Then from Laboni, I went to IPS. Yeah, and I've been working in Accra. We are three siblings. I'm the firstborn. We are all guys. We don't have a sister. We are all boys, actually. My
You have been fighting. Were you fighting when you were young?
Oh yeah, I mean boys definitely, especially myself and then the second one. There's just a 1 year gap between myself and my brother. Okay, the one
Yes.
after me, just a 1 year gap. So you can
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah. So yeah, there was a lot of friction. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, to the point that I said when I grow up and I give birth, I'm going to make sure that I space out my kids. Okay, so they would, yeah.
So the leadership will be clear. The
Yeah,
eldership will be clear. Nobody will be competing with.
no, not at all. Yeah, so that was how I wanted it to be. Yeah, and my mother, it's she trained as a secretary. My father is also um, a retired banker. Actually, my father also worked in the bank, and all that. So basically, Alfred is an ordinary Ghanaian guy who lives here and works here, and I've worked in Ghana all my life. Yeah, and so that's a bit about Alfred. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
And you
Okay.
talk about when you grow up and have children. Have you grown up? Do you have wife and children, or we should look for one for you?
No, certainly. No, certainly, I have. I'm fortunate to have a very beautiful wife, an amazing woman, Lois. We have two beautiful kids together, a boy and a girl. Keith, Keith is 14. He just finished writing his checkpoint, so now he's going to upper secondary where he's going to do his IGs. And then Chloe is 10. She's going to turn 11 very soon, and she's also in lower secondary. Yeah, and so we're a family of four. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Good. And Alfred, I mean, I just don't want to skip this because I know for a fact, for quite some time, you were actually educating your children at home.
Yes.
How did you do that? I mean, how did you do that?
So, so this is what happened. During COVID, when we all had to come home, their school at the time they were doing a Canadian curriculum, so they would do their classes online from home. And I noticed that because I was working mostly from home most of the time, I would notice that their teachers were struggling, trying to explain concepts to them. And what the teachers didn't realize at the time was that there was a difference between standing in front of the kids in a classroom and imparting knowledge, and this time around, you not seeing the kids but behind a device. So that was a bit of a challenge. So most of the time, I had to come in and help them because I'll be listening in. So one of the things is that we met a gentleman who had briefed us on the homeschooling concept, and I thought, look, I think I can do this. So my wife and I discussed it, and we said, look, let's try it. So we took the kids out of school, and we started the homeschool. And for almost 5 years, yes, we homeschooled them. And we chose our own subjects. So we were doing math, science, we introduced chess, French, and then we added coding, and then swimming. So we're doing it for almost 5 years. That's what we're doing, and I was dedicated to it, and it worked amazing. The kids um, picked up, and we did quite well until about 5 years when the kids, especially the girls, said she was a bit bored, so we had to go back to we had to go back to school. But basically, it worked really well. We moved at our own pace. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. And I like the fact that you found this opportunity to really draw close to your children as if, and what you said that really struck me is that I discussed with my wife. So it's a teamwork. Already, I see the team aspect coming out, looking at the family unit. So that's what I've picked up now. Teamwork, even between husband and wife. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So as you're talking about now, they are back in school. They are
Yeah.
back in regular school. So talk to us a little bit of how you transitioned out. Didn't that create a vacuum for you now that you are not doing homeschooling? How did you transition out fully into your workspace?
Okay. So what I did was that the new school that we changed curriculum. So now, uh, during homeschooling, we actually did the Cambridge curriculum. That's what we did when we were doing homeschooling. So when we decided to go back to mainstream, we found a Cambridge accredited school, and we attended. Now, what I did was that I also looked for an office space close to their school. Okay, so that in the morning we can all move together. Okay, so when my wife and I drop the kids at school, then I drop because then I'm closer to the kids' school, and then she will travel further to her work in Accra. So really, um, it wasn't so much of a difficulty transitioning because then there was this anticipation as well that the kids wanted also to feel to experience how it feels like, to be back in school and all that, because almost 5 years, it was quite a lot of time. So, but it wasn't difficult transitioning. The mind was already psyched to be able to fit in there. And because I got an office close by as well, it made it easier. So after school, I just come in, pick them up, I ask them, how was school today? Have you made new friends? And all that. So it was quite a smooth transition. Yeah.
Wow.
Great, great, great. So now, so let's back to yourself and your professional life. Throw a bit more light onto the French you say your parcours, your journey as a professional. Um, Before we come to the things that the crazy things that you're doing these days. Before then, tell us about the same things that you were doing.
Okay. So basically, I started off with an insurance brokerage firm. Okay. Now, back then, there was no insurance companies were composite companies. What that means is that insurance companies were doing both general business and life business. Life business back then, almost about 20 years ago, was not a huge thing in this country. Okay. And all over the world, they were all doing, one company was handling all of that. So for me to have started from a brokerage company, what I got was that I got knowledge in both areas. So I got deep knowledge in how insurance is done, both general insurance, and when here we are saying general insurance, we're talking about insurance for your car, insurance from your home, personal accidents, or that kind of insurance. So I got quite a deep understanding of how that works. I also got a fairly stable understanding of how the life business also works. So it was in, I think, 206 or 205 that the new Insurance Act came into being, and the insurance companies were asked to decouple. Okay, so you have a general business separate from a life business, and that is how come the life companies were set up. Okay, so that is where I started from. And not long after, I got the opportunity to work at EcoBank. Okay, and EcoBank, I started from the ATM department, rose through the different departments, branches, did quite interesting stuff. And EcoBank, I think I did about 10 years at EcoBank. But during EcoBank, there was also a brief exit. I did a brief exit from EcoBank to GCB, then back to EcoBank again. Okay, and finally did 10 years banking, did almost everything with the exception of probably treasury. Yeah. But at a branch level, you still have some treasury stuff there, but not deep one. And then my final department at EcoBank was information security. Yes. And I pioneered the insurance. I realized that the insurance actually never left me. So even at EcoBank, I pioneered the establishment of the bank assurance at EcoBank. And for our listeners who may not know what bank assurance is, what we did was that we knew that at the time there was too much competition within the banking sector. And you see how the bank earns income is interest spreads. Okay. So we felt that, look, we needed to add another additional income line, what is fees and commission. So then we made a case that, look, the bank can position itself in a way that it can sell insurance to its customers. Because guess what? We're giving loans to people to buy cars. We're giving loans to people to buy houses, mortgages. So why can't we just offer them insurance in addition to the credit that we're giving them to buy the cars and the houses? So in that sense, it took a while. The bank finally bought in, and then we introduced bank assurance at EcoBank. Then finally, I was there when I had a call. Dr. Dufour, the former finance minister, I was invited to come to Unibank to come and help set up their bank assurance for it to also grow. And so that's how I left EcoBank to Unibank. I was there when the takeover or the consolidation took place as well. And I stayed just for a few months and then I exited. So that has been the journey professionally, if you ask me. Yeah.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Sarah, I see you have a question.
Yeah. So, I can see that you integrated all your experiences as you went along and really exited. What caused you to exit? What was the vision that made you exit?
Well, to be very brutally honest, I was frustrated.
Okay.
With what?
Yeah.
What frustrated you?
No, she was frustrated with too much money.
No. You see, I was frustrated with the fact that they were not listening. Okay, they were not listening because I have a very clear sense of how things should be done, and I always see through things, and I would advocate that, look, let's do things in a certain way, but mostly they wouldn't listen. But later on, they will come back to the original suggestion that, okay, let's go back to what Alfred said and let's try it. Okay, yeah. So at a point, I felt, look, why don't I just go out and try my own ideas and see if it will work? You've been talking for a while. Put your words into action. Okay, because then I've made some key observation over a period of time, and I realized that, look, I need to get out and try something on my hands. At least I would die trying. Okay, but I just wouldn't sit at one place and not try. So that was the force that moved me out of corporate to actually venture into entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Perfect. Alfred, I would like you to walk us through how you did manage to stay motivated during the period of your frustration. What were the lessons that you learned? And then, if somebody is really wanting to transition out, what is the process? Because you said you just left. Was it just one day to the next? What was the preparation?
Well, the preparation, it comes differently for different people. So some will tell you, look, I would have to do a lot of UAT tests. So UAT in system building is what we call user acceptance testing. Okay, others will probably start something small, let it grow, okay, and then they can transition out. Okay, but if you're as crazy as Alfred and you don't want to wait for it to grow, okay, at a point it becomes now to chip in this. That is when I understood the whole concept of calling. I've heard people saying, look, I've got a calling, so I'm going to do A, B, C, and D. But entrepreneurship is a calling as well. Okay.
Yeah.
And at a point, we hadn't had any contract signed. We hadn't had anything serious going, but I felt that I needed to be out there. And Sarah, just when I was moving out, I had conversations with a few colleagues, okay, and they almost all of them asked me a simple question, which I didn't have an answer to, but rather I had a counter question to them. Now, this is what they asked. They asked me two questions. They said, Alfred, have you thought about, first, they asked me, you and your wife, who earns more? And I said, I earn more than my wife does. I said, okay. Now, if you exit, Alfred, how are you going to support the family? Because then you're going to lose your income here. I said, yes, that's correct. Have you thought about letting the business grow? Okay. I mean, give yourself another 2 to 3 years. Let the business grow. When the business grows, then you can exit. Then you still have some guaranteed income and all that. And guess what? These were well-meaning questions that they asked. Then I asked them a question myself, and I said, okay, let me ask this. Who is going to make that business grow for me so I can transition out? And guess what? Nobody was able to give me an answer. Okay, then I realized that I wasn't crazy, but I was right, because then I have the vision. I knew exactly where I wanted us to be. Who was going to make that business grow for me to be able to transition out of corporate life? Okay, and that is when I asked that question and nobody was able to give me an answer. And I realized that, look, I had to move. So to answer your question, really, everybody has a way of transitioning, but maybe the proper thing is that you check and make sure that wherever you're going, you can generate income to be able to take care of yourself and your family and all that. So that is probably an answer to the question that you asked.
Great. That is beautiful. So now you've talked about the vision. So share with us, what was the vision? What were you going to do? And it sounds like the system was pushing you out, but what was the pulling? What was it that was pulling you? What was the inspiration? What was the dream?
Okay. So really, there were two things. Okay. I saw a gap between what technology could achieve and what businesses were experiencing on the ground. That was a clear gap that I saw. And I realized that, look, in the banking sector, we had done remarkably well to an extent of using technology to offer the services that were given customers. But then if you cast your mind to another section of the financial services, which is the insurance space, there was a huge gap between technology and what they were doing. And so that is when I figured that, look, we could use technology to transform how people, for instance, buy insurance, how they file claims and all that. But to the core of that mission was to build something that will help people, okay, that will create a meaningful impact, okay, and that is what gave us the conviction and the confidence to pursue the vision despite the uncertainties around that time. Yeah.
All right. So what did you create?
Okay. So, well, I noticed that insurance is not like banking. Okay. People will walk into a bank to demand banking services, but it's not like that with insurance. Look, the only reason why people buy vehicle insurance, for instance, for me, is because they don't want the police to be on their back, really. If they had a choice, they wouldn't do it. Okay. Now, at a point, my father-in-law shared a concept with me. Okay. And it's is just about helping people as well. For instance, people travel. Some, I don't know whether you know that today, for instance, today being a Saturday, a research we did indicates that there are more than 200,000 people who are traveling across the country on an intercity basis. So when we say intercity, from Accra,
I've done that. I went out and came back. I
yeah,
went last night, I came back.
intercity base, and this is people not with private vehicles. These are commercial alone. So sitting in an STC bus from Accra to Kumasi or Accra to Aflao or in that's it. Aflao to Kumasi and all that. More than 200,000 people. Now guess what? There are lots of road accidents here, and mostly, even though there are accidents, we're not prepared for it. Okay. So we wanted to build a very simple solution where when you're traveling from one city to the other on an intercity journey, you can buy what we call a local travel insurance policy. And this will insure just your trip. So when you get down from the vehicle, your policy ends. Okay, that was the idea. Now, the vision was, how do we get people to buy this policy seamlessly without having to go through a lot of challenges? Okay, so some ideas came to our minds. Building an app where you can literally download the app and buy the policy. But then again, insurance is not like banking. So getting people to download an app was going to be a challenge. So we looked around and said, okay, why don't we use a very simple platform that everybody is on? Okay, so we looked around. USSD was an option, but then we said, let's look for something more interactive than a USSD. So voila, we looked at WhatsApp. And we felt, okay, we can do this with WhatsApp. But WhatsApp hasn't got payments in there. So how do we get people to pay? We can get the system to we can use the WhatsApp to buy, but how do we get people to pay? So we then looked around and said, okay, fine, let's design our own bot that sits on the WhatsApp platform where it will take you the process of buying a simple personal accident policy. Then we figured how to integrate mobile money on into the WhatsApp solution, so you can also make your payments using the WhatsApp. So that is how we started, and WhatsApp was a clear success for us. Yes, we'll come to how. Yes, the product didn't do great, but then we had found a tool, a vehicle that has been missing all this while, and that is how the whole dream went into action.
Wow. So you set up a company called Redpear, right?
Yeah, we set up a company called Redpear. As to why the pear is red, I have no idea. It is red.
Yes. So where did that name come from?
In fact, that name came from our first corporate lawyer. He was the one who said, look, Alfred, we need to create a name that will be very difficult for people not to remember. At least if you hear it for the very first time, it should stick. And I said, then what are you talking about? He said, okay, what about Redpear? I said, okay, that sounds great. But Alfred, there's no story behind it. And I said, look, we don't need a story. All we need is red and then a pear. Once you hear it for the first time, you're not going to forget it. And that is how Redpear was born, and then we started moving.
Okay. So, Alfred, I love the story of how you looked at what was available and then you created something. So, the lesson I'm getting from here is look at what is working, right? Look at what is working and then adapt it to what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is leadership lesson that I'm getting from you. But one thing that you kept coming back on to is people. Talk to us about why you focus on people.
Look, our greatest asset, really, at Redpear is the people. Okay. At the early stage, we struggled a lot finding the right people to work and believe in a dream and a purpose. And I say that because I've always said it that the greatest mark or the greatest success of any leader is your ability to find the right people to work with. That is what makes a good leader. If you're able to identify the right people, that is the biggest task of all. Okay, because if you don't find the right people to work with, the dream can die. Yes, you have the vision, you're moving, but you need the people to move with you. They need to believe in what you believe in and move in tandem. Okay. And so initially it was tough, but with time, with the resilience, with the persuasiveness, we're able to find the right people to work with. And today, for whatever Redpear is because of the people who work here. And we have a team of about 15, 16 people who work at Redpear. And Sarah, you'll be surprised that we don't have an office where, even though I say I go to the office, look, we don't have an office where we all walk into every morning to work. No, Redpear has morphed into a purely remote company. And you'll be amazed that we have teams, we have people who come in from Kenya, people who come in from Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, and Ghana. And even in Ghana, we are scattered. We have people in the northern part of Ghana, we have people in Tamale, we have one person in Bolga, we have some in Kumasi, and Accra. We are all scattered. But every single day, we all converge and we work together. And that is what true Pan-African is, and the people are so amazing that it is a reason why the business has survived all this while, because you can trust them. Even though we are doing an online remote work, you can find them. And I tell you, there's a gentleman who heads our operations. He's Kenyan. He works every day from Nairobi. He is 3 hours ahead of us. But you will never hear that he says he's tired, he's going to sleep because he's 3 hours ahead. No. He's on call, he's online, he sorts everybody out. And that is why we are where we are today. So the people is the greatest asset that we have at Redpear.
Alfred, I mean, you're talking about the people. I mean, the way you're talking about it, it's sounding a bit contradictory to what I'm hearing from other entrepreneurs, where the people are the challenge. They don't find the people. So, how did you find these people who are so amazing? How
Yeah,
did you
so
find them?
it hasn't been easy. And I wouldn't contradict the other entrepreneurs who are telling you that the people can be the pain in all of this. But we have reached the stage where we are because we have put in place measures which some will say are draconian. But you see, people are self-centered, people are selfish. It's a natural thing. Okay, but you need to put in place systems that will be able to change that. And when you're not ready to change, it means you're not fit to be where you want them to be. You need to let them go. And even though I dwell a lot on the people, it hasn't been an easy journey. So I'll give you an example, for instance. Every single day from Monday to Friday, we do what we call project catch-ups, and we meet at 8:30. Now, if you're late a minute, there's a fine that you pay. Yeah, you pay a fine if you're late for a minute. If for some reason you can't join on time, you need to give heads up ahead of time. That's okay, I have a challenge. Probably there's a prolonged light off, so my gadgets are off, or I have an emergency I need to attend to. When we introduce this, There was a lot of backlash. Oh, yes, there was. But we made sure that we forced our way through for it to be accepted. Now, if you are late for a client meeting, or if you are sent an email, or you are sent a WhatsApp, and you do not respond within a certain time frame, there's a fine. Okay, there is a fine. And guess what? Nowadays at 8:30, more than 80% of the people have already signed in. By 8:28, more than 80% have signed in. Okay, so you need to be able to train them. And I keep telling people that if I can train my dog to behave in a certain way, why can't I train another human? For as long as they are willing to be trained. So that is how come for us, the people have become our greatest assets.
Wow.
I'm hearing culture at play over here. So, what are your values? I know the culture is timeliness, that people even sign in before you start at 8:30, right? So, what are
Correct.
some of the values that you have for Redpear? Talk to us about that.
Integrity. Okay, integrity. Um, if you don't have a solution for a problem, let us know. We will work together and be able to figure it out together. Okay. Um, Making mistakes is part of learning. So if you make a mistake, that is not the end of the world. We learn from it, and we identify with the fact that, look, when you fall, you haven't failed. You see, you learn to pick yourself up and then not repeat those things again. So these are empty. We don't accept. There are certain words that we don't use here at Redpear. Cannot be done. It's not possible. No, it's not part of our diction. It's not in our okay, it's not in our dictionary. So everything and anything is possible. And Mikhail will tell you, um, Mikhail is one of our senior excellent engineers who is in Cote d'Ivoire. He works from Cote d'Ivoire. He said, we tell you, look, Alfred, nothing is impossible. You understand? It's all about money, yeah. But so that is the culture we have built here. Not possible. It can be done. Integrity and failure. We accept failure. If you make a mistake, if we fail, we embrace it and we learn from it. That is the kind of culture we are building here. That is what we live by.
Wow.
Wonderful. Now, Alfred, that's great. But tell us, I mean, what are some of the products that you have you have created? You've talked about how you use the WhatsApp and from where you started. How has the business evolved since that time? And what are the services and products that you've been able to create? What is the size of the business as we speak now? Where are you? Who are your customers? What's going on?
Okay. So we've built quite a number of solutions other than just the WhatsApp. Yes, we've used the WhatsApp to design different solutions. So you can literally use the WhatsApp to buy a motor insurance policy. Some of our clients are using it. And please help me. I'll come back to some of the amazing clients that we have because they're the ones too who have pushed us to where we are. Okay. And notably, I want to focus on, let's say, Hollard, for instance. Their MD is an amazing gentleman who has believed in us from the beginning. But we've built solutions on the WhatsApp, different solutions for travel, for home insurance, and all that. But beyond the WhatsApp, what we have done is that we've built core systems that you can use to manage the whole operations of an insurance company. Our first system, it's a life insurance core system. And guess what? We didn't build it here in Ghana because nobody was willing to give us a chance here in Ghana. But we got a client in Mauritius, and we went through a tendering process. In fact, initially they were interested in the WhatsApp solution. So went through a tendering process with companies from India and Kenya and different parts of the world. And guess what? We won. Just when we were
Wow.
about to start the contract, then they said they were going to change it. They want a core system and all that. Whew. We didn't really know how, but we said yes, we're up for the challenge.
Okay.
We said we're up for
Never
the
say
challenge.
no.
No, never say no. So we took the challenge up. Initially, it was difficult. It was probably the hardest thing Redpear faced in its early stages. One of the hardest things. But we took it up. We got a wonderful gentleman to come in as head of projects, and fortunately, we're able to build a solution they were looking for. And you know what? Now there's a saying in that company in Mauritius, Island Life. They say Redpear is just a department within it. And
Wow.
Sam, guess what? Mauritius is 4 hours ahead of time. I mean, they're ahead of us 4 hours, and they're thousands of kilometers away. But nobody has traveled from Mauritius to come to Ghana looking for Redpear because they can find us. No. As soon as they mention we need this, within an instant, there's a response. Okay. And that is how far we have gone building core systems that you can run your business with. Okay. And recently, we built a very nice platform where we realized that businesses are communicating with customers from different channels. So we have WhatsApp, we have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have all those channels. Okay. And mostly the businesses would have to sign in into these different channels to be able to communicate with their customers. Now, what we did was that we said, look, why don't we consolidate all these channels into just one platform? So once you sign in, you see a message coming from Facebook from your customer, you see a message coming from Instagram, LinkedIn, and all that into one. Then how do you also do we also integrated what we call a listening tool. So if somebody mentions your brand anywhere on the social media platform, they tag you or they hashtag you or whatever, we pick that and then you get to know about it. Okay. We give you the option to use an AI to be able to train your customer service agents. If you want the AI to handle all your customer service stuff too, there's an option for you to do that. So now Redpear has become an agnostic kind of company, a software company that now goes into almost everything. Once it's a system that has to be designed, we are there. We can build that system for you. And that is how we have transitioned from just using the WhatsApp application into other systems. And I mentioned to you, Sam, that some of the customers we have Hollard, we have Sirin, we had Old Mutual, for instance. Old Mutual was our first client. We have Island Life. Now we are in Nigeria as well. We have clients in
Wow.
Nigeria. We have quite a number of companies here. But you see, what has really also benefited us is the kind of partners that we have who are willing to give us a chance. And I must say, one of the critical things that faces businesses, young businesses, is that credibility. Who is
Yeah.
willing to give you a chance to prove yourself? A lot of businesses will not take that risk. Okay. But when you go to Hollard, for instance, the culture is different. And Daniel, who is their MD, for instance, look, he gave us a chance. We built a solution. They marketed it. It became a sensation. They won awards from that. Okay. And sometimes the solution may not be making the money that you're requiring for, but you know that, look, this is the future. Okay. Yes. And for us at Redpear, we celebrate clients who have given us a chance, who give us the opportunity to prove that it can be done and it can be done here. It's not always the case that we have to bring people from outside to come and build solutions for us. Okay, and we have Vanguard, okay, who also believe in us, Moses, Awatre, and the rest. They give us a chance. They believe in what we are doing, okay, and they're willing to invest in us and give us a chance. Yeah. So basically, that is how far we have in terms of products, what we have done, transition from WhatsApp, and the incredible people we work with who also support us and be able to build the solutions and help us to be where we are today.
Great. Awesome. I can see Akon Samuel. You did touch upon AI, but he was saying, have you considered the role of AI in insurance? So I just wanted you to speak a little bit more about what you're doing with AI in answering his question.
Okay, so we are doing different things with AI in insurance. For instance, one critical area is that when it comes to insurance claims for motor insurance, for instance, we have systems or tools, AI tools that are able to determine whether the pictures normally will request of you to give us pictures of the vehicle that has been involved in an accident. Okay, so we're able to determine whether that picture has been tampered with or it's a genuine picture. Okay. And then even when you're buying the policy, we are able to also we request if it's a comprehensive insurance, we request the pictures and we're able to know that these pictures we're able to tell the timestamp and also have tools that are able to tell whether these pictures have been tampered with or their original pictures. So there are different AI tools that we are using at different levels of the business. Okay. So for instance, we have AI agents on one of our platforms, Maya, who can assist you to buy an insurance policy without the intervention of any human at all. And now some of the tools that we have, which we are offering to the businesses, is that we give you the opportunity to train your own AI to handle aspects of your business for you. So you will guide you and you train it, either with videos. If you have videos you want to train it with, you can do that. If you have simple FAQs, for instance, you're able to do that, come up with all these things, and then you train your bot, AI bots with it. So yes, we use AI in different aspects of the insurance value chain.
Wow.
Alfred, there was, as you were talking, something, I mean, keep hitting me. This is a startup. You are saying that you had reputable insurance companies like Hollard and others who took a chance on you. What do you think made them say, let's take a chance? Because we have seen that usually you go to the small insurance companies, and then when you are now a, a big a bit stable, then the big boys will now say, hey, maybe let's go. But you were starting, and you're starting with all those big companies. What was it that, because for a lot of people who are struggling to get into the market, they will probably learn a thing or two from you as to what is it that did the trick for you to be able to get the buy-in of these big companies.
Well, I think for starters, the product has to make sense or the solution has to make sense. Okay. And the solution has to solve a problem. Okay. So just like I said, we identify the gap. So
Yeah.
in the case of Hollard and the rest, they saw the gap and they realized that, okay, we have Redpear has a solution. Okay. So let's give them a chance. And
Mm.
see, apart from having the solution to a problem, the way you package yourself too is very critical.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The way you package yourself is also very critical. And I tell people that my years in banking has been a waste of time. No. What it did was to groom me for me to learn, okay, to be able to do this. And that is what, and when you're talking to these senior people, you would have to speak well. They don't have a lot of time. So within the shortest possible time, you need to be able to communicate the solution. Okay. And that is what I think probably, and of course, by the grace of God, these things is not just by your words, no. But and this is what I think that helped the likes of Hollard, Daniel, for instance, to give us a chance that look, let's try these guys and see. Sunu, Serene, Vanguard, and all the rest, and ILA. That look, let's give these guys a chance. Let's see what they can offer. And probably that's how it is. So if you want to summarize it, get the action points. First, you need to have a solution that solves a problem. Okay. And how you package it. Number two, how you package it is very critical. Okay.
Mhm.
These are two key ingredients that probably work in our favor.
And I may add a third one, the communication.
The communication, exactly.
Communication. Yeah, the communication.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. So, Alfred, you've talked to us about the past and how AI is enhancing the way you work. What does future possibilities look like for Redpear?
The possibilities are endless, really. It's endless from where we sit. It's endless, and I'll tell you something that our colleague in Cote d'Ivoire keep telling us that, look, Alfred, Redpear is not a small company. Maybe me myself probably didn't see it, but he kept, or he keeps mentioning that. Look, we we're currently in Mauritius. We want to expand there in East Africa. We are in Kenya. We want to build solutions that work in those markets to push it. So we are expanding into different markets. Okay. We are in Nigeria. Nigeria is a huge market. There are more than 350 million people in Nigeria. And we need to be able to expand well in that business because the solutions that we offer are still wanted. We have solutions that the businesses need. And so for us, the possibilities are to expand into these markets and be able to do well. Sarah, we want to be able to export our services. We want to be able to, like, when you think technology or a software solution within that ecosystem, we want Redpair to come up first in it. Okay. And we pride ourselves in saying that we can rival any company in Silicon Valley or in Chennai, India, or anywhere with a solution. We can build those solutions to be able to compete squarely with them. Okay. So the possibilities for us are endless. We are pushing and we're going to push very hard into these markets. And here in Ghana, we are pushing very hard such that if you think of buying any insurance policy, it is our platform that you come to first because we give you ease and convenience. And so just so I chip in, so at this time, where we are is very critical in the cycle of Redpear, where we are out there looking for funding to be able to invest in the business, to be able to achieve what we are looking for. Okay, so that there are no barriers to be able to push and be able to export and become a global brand, if you like.
Wow. This is great, and I like the vision. But what are the challenges that you see? What are the threats or the risks to Respe? Who else are competing with you that can kill your business? And so on. What are the dangers you see for the vision you have you have proposed?
The risk is the people. See, even though the people is still the greatest asset, it can also be your weakest link. Okay. So constantly you need to train the people. Constantly you need to let the people buy into the vision, into the purpose. Okay. And once you're able to satisfy that, any external threat, any external risk, any external competition can be dealt with. Okay, so when we come to the external threats, for instance, people who are doing the same thing that we are doing. Currently in Ghana, there is no known um, tech company that is a clear lead within the insurance space. Okay, when you go to the fintechs, at least you have certain brands that are well known. They come to mind easily because those territories have been claimed. Okay. But then you also realize that they are also beginning to come into our space. They are also beginning to come into the insurance space because they have the muscle here. Okay. And so the biggest threat for me is the fact that if we don't find the right amount of funding to be able to fund what we are doing and make noise about it and get there, that for me is the greatest risk or threat to the business as I see it. Else, the years of hard work would have amounted to nothing less than just a dream. Okay, so for me, that is the greatest threat coming from all the others. Yes, in the ability to be able to fund. In a part of the world, liquidity is a huge challenge. Okay, it's a huge challenge for startups, for people to believe in what you're doing and to be able to invest in what you're doing. Okay, so that is where the greatest threat comes from in terms of
Yeah.
outside. Yeah.
Alfred, as you speak about this, I'm just casting my mind back to one of the Lead to Lead programs that we had. And I think we had Edward Efa, and he says the banks are looking for good products to finance. They have lack of products. So I'm just challenging you. If your product is so much great, what is stopping you from asking the banks? Like I think he was from Fidelity to fund you. He's lost. We lost him.
Alfred, your video is off, but I'm sure he will come back.
Okay.
He's here. He's still here, but it's just his video that is off. Let's
Okay.
see those who
Let's
are
see. Yeah.
online.
Let's see what comments are coming in as Alfred
Yeah.
comes back. I think we have Akon Samuel, who is our highest contributor today, asking another question. So when Alfred comes, maybe we could add Alfred to bring that up.
Yes,
Yeah.
and this has been an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
Great courage that we are seeing from Alfred here, innovation coming through, and not easy to start a small business, and now to move into Pan African. One of the things I wanted to ask Alfred
Exactly. Yeah.
is
Exactly.
how is he getting all these people in these different countries, and what is the environment in those countries, the work environment, the legal environment, and so on. So Alfred is going to come back.
Okay,
And
so let me just maybe summarize what we are hearing so far. That he did say the purpose. I mean, last week we talked about purpose, and Alfred talked about purpose, saying start with the real problem, and then
yes.
build the solution as we improve to improve the lives that he saw in the people. And he did also focus on people being the greatest asset, and that culture must be intentionally built because talent must buy into the vision, and that's why he's training his people that he brings on. Also, he did talk about accountability. From the notes I'm taking, that failure is data for them, right?
Mhm.
Every setback is an opportunity that teaches something. And as he did mention, when they got a big contract from Mauritius, impossible is not part of their vocabulary.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. And he did
Mm.
also talk about partnership. Growth happens when people give you chance. And we saw
Mhm.
how Hollard and Vanguard and other insurance companies gave them the opportunity. And the seventh note that I've taken down is about the vision, building that
Yeah.
across continent and even moving globally. He says even to compete with Silicon Valley, right? So Alfred, welcome back. I'll stop here and I'll.
Yeah. So yeah, so Sarah has done a very good job of summarizing the lessons that we are picking, and they are great, great lessons. Now, one of the things we wanted to check with you is how are you getting all these people from different countries and to be able to work with you. The other thing is, how is the regulatory or legal environment, I mean, working across these different jurisdictions? What are the lessons that, because people have, we're talking about after, we are talking about this and that. What are you learning? What are you learning with the experience of Redpear having businesses on the continent and so on?
Well, so first of all, with the people, we have a company that we work with, and so they look for the talent for us. Okay,
Okay.
so they look for the talent for us, and they are able to identify talents in the whole of Africa, anywhere you are. In fact, we've had people even coming from the UK to want to work with us. Okay, purely remote. Oh yes. So we have a company that we work with in doing that, and so the legal bits and all that, they sort it out themselves. For us, all we need is the talent to be able to start work and the ability to be able to transfer their salaries at the end of every month to wherever they are for them to receive their money. Yes. So basically, they handle all that for us.
Really
Because I'm imagining that you have somebody in Cote d'Ivoire that you have to pay CFA, somebody in Kenya that you have to pay shillings, somebody in Togo, and you have business in Mauritius, but I don't know if you have somebody there, and getting your money back, and central bank regulation, pricing, and so on and so forth of your product and so on. I mean, somebody is listening. What will you say to as guidance for some of those people who have those challenges?
Okay, so first of all, you need solid contracts. Okay, so you need a good lawyer to be able to help you. Yes, we will tell you now there are AI tools that you can get legal advice and all that, but even that, you still need someone to look at it for you. Okay, because you may not understand every legal word in there, and that is where your exposure will be. So it doesn't hurt to get somebody who is a professional, who has the legal training to be able to help you with that. And that is why your so first of all, your contracts with these companies outside entities must be solid. They must be solid so that there's no loophole. Okay. And so that is what we have done. We make sure that our contracts with these companies outside are very solid. Okay. And once that is done, when the contracts are solid, it's a deterrent in the first place. So they wouldn't even think about the unthinkable. Okay, exactly. So they won't even think about the unthinkable because the unthinkable will be too huge for them to do than to even think about it. So that is a legal bit. You need that expertise for somebody to help you. And sometimes too, common sense should guide you, really. Sometimes common sense should guide you. Okay. And look, I haven't traveled widely, but I've traveled a bit. And I've come to realize that as human beings, we're not too different from each other. We're not. Okay. So the fact that I live here in Ghana, my aspirations and my fears are not different from the guy in Cote d'Ivoire, the guy in Kenya, or in Togo, or in Mauritius. No. So sometimes allow common sense to guide you as well. What would you wouldn't want to be done to you, don't do to them. Okay.
Yeah, the
Exactly.
golden
And
rule.
exactly. And pretty much these are the things that have guided us to be able to. And who wrote this? There's somebody who wrote this that be slow in hiring, but be quick to fire. Yeah. Be slow in hiring, but fire. Look, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, you need to be sharp. You need to know those who are here to waste your time and those who are here to be able to achieve the purpose with you. If you realize that somebody is giving you stories, 1, 2, 3, that person has to go quick. And you need to fire ahead. And what I mean by firing ahead, it means that you need to fire in your head before you communicate. So
Okay.
before I ask you to go, I would have planned who is going to take over from you.
Okay.
So you don't create a vacuum. So on the day that we communicate that, look, we no longer can work with you and we are letting you go, we are already covered.
Yeah.
Okay. So really planning into the future.
Yeah.
So yeah. But before we go on, I see that Samuel Akon had a question. He said, "What happens when the solution seems too futuristic? How do you convince people to buy in?" I think he said them to buy in. Let's say maybe your staff that you're working with. How would you convince them to buy into
And the custom and your clients.
your clients, to buy into what vision you have as a solution and to deliver?
Yeah. So I saw the comments as well, and I was thinking more of the clients as well. Well,
Uh-huh.
you need to let them understand that that is where the world is moving to. Now everything is about AI. Even those who don't even understand AI, it's saying AI. Okay. It's about number one, believing in the solution yourself and believing and knowing that that is the future. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
solve the problem. If you believe in it, whether it is too futuristic, those who will see it will see it. When we went to Holland with Araba, for instance, the concept of getting a bot to buy a policy, yeah, even with us, we didn't see the whole picture. I don't think they themselves also saw the whole complete picture. But some way, somehow, we're able to convince them that that is the future and that is where we are going. And that is what I think Daniel also saw. Okay. So, first, believe in yourself, believe in a solution, believe in yourself, and communicate. Once you do that, it's not a big deal communicating others to see what you're saying.
Yeah. Actually, that's a fundamental principle of persuasion. Don't
Yeah.
don't make people believe in what you are saying. Actually, let them believe that you believe in what you are saying.
Exactly.
And a lot of the time, we those of us communicating that we are leaking out that we don't believe in what we are saying. People are not looking at whether what you are saying is correct or not. They want to know whether you believe in it. And when you
Exactly.
believe in the solution so passionately and convincingly, then you'll be able to bring people with you. Alfred, we are running a bit. I'm not seeing any questions on the platform, but I think as we're going to run up, I want you to think with us, what has been your leadership style leading with all these people across the world, and maybe also share with us some of the leadership lessons that you have you have picked along the way with all these innovative solutions that you have brought on board.
Okay, well, my leadership style has always been to connect with the people. It's a little things, really. Um, how are you? How is your family? If you're married, how is your child? How is everything going? How is the home? Okay. Letting the team know that you care about them. You know what they are going through. Acknowledging the little things. Okay. That has been the greatest thing that I try to do. Always being in touch. Okay. And then maintaining perspective. Okay. Maintaining perspective, because see, every challenge feels permanent when you are in the middle of it, but
Mm-hmm.
most challenges are temporary. You understand? And then you also have to be connected to purpose. You always have to be connected to purpose, because when the vision is bigger than you, it becomes easier to navigate uncertainty. And I keep telling my team that I don't have to be around for this business to run. And Sam and Sarah, trust me, the business runs without me, because Paul in Kenya is navigating Mikhail, Elizabeth, Zoe, Robert. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do. They all know what they're supposed to do. And then third, continuous learning. And you see, learning comes in different forms. You need to spend time to listen. I remember one time last year when Anders, and we had a meeting with one of our clients, Sunu, and the CEO just burst out and said, "Look, Alfred, one of the great things we like about Redpear, that we love to work with Redpear, is that you listen. Listening, and then reading. Okay, and you need to read. You need to read, and you need to open yourself wide to new things. Okay, and you can also learn from other leaders and industries. Okay, and above all, Sam, leadership is not about having all the answers. No, that is not leadership. You see, it's about remaining teachable while making difficult decisions. And these are the things that, if you like, has been the style, my style that I've tried in my small way to be able to guide the team and the business. Okay, yeah. There was a second part to your question. Forgotten that.
I think you did answer. I'll ask about the style and the leadership lessons, but I think you've put all them together very beautifully.
Yeah.
Very beautifully, sir.
Yeah, Albert, now let's say last week we talked about purpose and we even talked about leadership as a legacy, right? You said your people should be able to carry on without you. So 20 years from now, let's say 20 years from now, what is the legacy that Redpear will be having on the continent or even globally?
Yeah, that we have proved that it is possible for innovation, and it's possible for Africans to be able to do anything to compare with anything that comes from the West. 20 years from now, that is how we want to be remembered. And Sarah, to answer your question, let me go back to a certain training that we did here at Redpear a couple of months ago or a year ago. We did an experiment where we asked everybody, for those in Kenya, for those in Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, and Ghana, we asked them that they should go look for a company, a local company, an indigenous company that is 100 years old, and report back.
Yeah.
Nobody was able to bring a company that was 100 years. Yes. And we scaled back to 80. We scaled back to 60, 50. Then we started getting some indigenous companies. Okay. Then I asked the question, why is it that we can't find indigenous companies that are 100 years and over? Well, maybe the gentleman in Kenya gave me probably an answer that probably made sense. But Alfred, we got an independence not too long ago. I said, yes, but don't forget that even before independence,
we had businesses.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Sarah and Sam and the listeners or those who are viewing us here, what we discovered is that our greatest mistake and setback is lack of discipline. That is why our businesses are not doing well. We found a business in Japan, a family-run business that is more than 1,000 years old, and it's still running. It's been in the same family for 52 generations.
Wow.
Yes. So if you ask me what the legacy is 20 years from now, Redpear still has to be a viable concern, a profitable business that is running without Alfred Kissiedu. You understand? Where people come and be able to make livelihood, where we are supporting young mothers. And guess what? Because we do remote work, we have created an environment where we are allowing young mothers to come and work here. And when you come and work here, you don't have to choose between your family and your career. That is the kind of legacy we're trying to leave for Redpear.
Excellent. So young mothers, that is part of the youth. What about the men?
Oh, what amazing. Look,
what about the youth, the young men?
But let me tell you about Mikhail. Mikhail is our guy in Cote d'Ivoire, and I keep telling him that, look, Mikhail, your son is going to. He has a young son who's about a year, almost a year. And I tell him, look, I'm sure your son is going to speak English even before he starts speaking French. Because most of the time when we are doing our catch-ups and we are online and all that, you can hear his son talking and all that, wanting to say something. And I tell him, look, and we have created environments where young men are also spending a lot of time with their wives and their kids, at the same time also working and delivering. And that is the environment. So just last week or this week, we're talking about the fact that we need to be able to protect the kind of life that we have built, the culture that we have built at Redpear. We need to protect it. Yeah.
Excellent.
Right.
Thank you.
Great. All right. So I guess at this point, Sarah, do you have any questions? Because Alfred is just doing wonderful things, and there's another Alfred Donko who is saying that this is interesting. This Albert Donko saying interesting industry. That's the sector you are in. All right. So at this point, Sarah, do you have any question? Otherwise, I want Alfred to share with us his closing thoughts. What do you want people to do with Redpear? What is your appeal to the people listening and those who will join, who will listen later on? We didn't talk about regulatory environment and the government and what the government can do to support and so on and so forth. But at this point, an open question. What is your closing call and your pitching for Redpear?
Before you ask Alfred. Alfred has already told us they need investment. They need money, right? And
Yes. He's probably going to emphasize that.
Not necessarily, but I wanted to touch on the regulatory aspect. You know, when it comes to innovation, the regulator always plays the catch up. Okay, so you find that you start the thing and then gradually they tend to catch up. And what is happening within the industry is that the regulator, in this case, the insurance regulator, National Insurance Commission, I think they are catching up. So about a year or two ago, there was a new act that was released that recognizes the role that technology companies are playing within the ecosystem of the insurance space. Okay, and I'm happy to say that we're one of the first 5 companies that the regulator awarded as a license, what we call the innovative intermediary license, to be able to sell an insurance product directly to the consumer. Okay, and so they have created a regulatory sandbox that helps us, like Redpear, to be able to work within that regulatory sandbox. Okay, now this is testament to the fact that the regulator sees that, look, the industry has to change. Okay, and so this is how, at first, when we approached them, they didn't have those arrangements, but gradually they are seeing what we are seeing, and we are hoping that they're going to move faster than they are. But we like the fact that they are moving in the first place. That is the first important thing. Okay, so regulatory wise, I think we are on a good trajectory as we go along. Look, the second bit is that this is an appeal to all of us. Nobody is going to develop Ghana for us. No one is going to build the conglomerates that we want for us. No one is going to build Africa for us. We're going to do it ourselves. We need to give ourselves a chance. We need to believe in ourselves and give ourselves a chance. If we don't do that, then we have no chance of succeeding. I'm not saying that take whatever crap solution that we build for you. No. There are people who are building solid systems. Just give them a chance. If we're able to give ourselves a chance, that is when the Mauritians, the whoever's can also look at our solution and say, look, we want to buy or invest in the millions of dollars into the business. So we need to give ourselves a chance. We need to believe in ourselves. That is the only way we can build businesses that employs, that gives hope to our people. Okay, and we need to do that. As for Redpear, we're not going to stop. We are moving forward. And we'll keep moving. And we'll keep partnering. And Sarah, you mentioned about the banks. Yes, now we have a bank that is not funding us. They're not funding us, no. But they've realized that there is potential. Okay, so they are partnering with us. First National Bank, FNB, for instance, they partnered with us because they see the vision. Sylvia sees the vision. Okay, and these are the partnerships that we need to enter. So if there are big companies here who are listening, there are startups, there are good companies here that are doing great stuff. Bring them in, structure the legal bit well. Because one of the greatest fears of these big businesses is that, okay, fine, what if they fail tomorrow? Then what? What about if they don't fail?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether you are familiar with that conversation that took place between the CFO and the CEO. When the CEO went to the CFO and told the CFO, look, we need to train our people. And the CFO
If we
said,
train them, then they leave.
then what happens? Then the CEO asks the CFO, what if we don't train them and they stay?
Yes.
Exactly.
So we need to give ourselves a chance. Others have done it. We can learn the models and apply it here. There's not everything that we need to go outside. Okay. So basically, these are my words. But for Redpear, we are not stopping. The train is moving. And we're going to
Wonderful. For Redpear, we are not stopping. The train is moving. And Alfred, if people want to connect with you, Albert Dunker is asking. Maybe he's going to give you or partner with you or give you some money. Yeah. How do people connect with you and Redpear?
Okay, so there's an info at redpearcommunications.com. Can I also leave my number? Can I mention my number?
Yeah, sure.
Do.
Okay,
Please do.
right. All right. So I'm here in Ghana, so just plus 233 266 20 5291. Okay.
I hope.
Plus 233 plus 233 20 52 91 0266, yeah, 20 52 91. And then my email is Kissiedu. I think I can type it. Kissiedu at redpearcommunications.com. That's my email address. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you,
Good.
Alfred.
Wow.
I guess that in CTL, we'll put that on the chat for you. Sam, do you have it? Yeah, perfect. We'll put it on the chat for our viewers. So, Sam, I'll leave you to round us off for today.
All right. Thank you so very much, Sarah. And thank you, Alfred, and your team for the great work you are doing. On this segment of the leadership platform, our objective is to showcase leaders like you who are doing great things, innovative solutions, so that people would have the belief in themselves. Those who don't have confidence in themselves, at least they can borrow the belief from people like Alfred, borrowed belief to go and try to do something. And we believe that as people try, like you said, nobody is going to build Africa for us. We have to build it ourselves. Others may help us. We even have to be cautious of the help they offer us. They may help us, but we have to do it for ourselves. And the people are those who will do it. And you and I are the people. So those of you who are connecting, who didn't introduce yourself, I know that many of you hiding behind the screens. And those who will watch later on, we want to thank you. And for those who showed up and showed your name, Alfred, Albert, and Samuel, and Rita, and Dede, Mary, and others who show up, thank you so very much. And until we come your way next week with another great leader and a great subject, this has been the Leadership Platform. Thank you and have a good night. Bye-bye.
Excellent. Thank you.
And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, do that now.